I am somebody who doesn't plan, and I don't believe in planning. Watching this video come together has been nothing short of a miracle. The words that are being said, the stuff that... Hello, everybody. This is Ryan over at High Carb Regenerator. Welcome to my channel. Today, I wanted to talk about why you're not losing weight, the truth about weight loss. We'll see where this goes, right? This is actually stemming from a comment that I got that actually turned into like kind of like a thread. And I'm like, bruh. About how I am not losing weight anymore, or people are watching me, if I lose weight. I lost 145 pounds. 145 pounds. I don't know how that's not enough weight loss for you to realize that this works. I'll put pictures up here. I've only got the one picture. It's not like when you're 405 pounds, back in the day when people were normal. Back in the day, when people... Anyway, when you're 405 pounds, you don't exactly go to photo shoots. You don't exactly... I know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go to a photo shoot. I'm going to shoot. I just put that wide angle lens on there so you can get all of me. Photo shoot. You don't do this stuff. So I have one picture of myself from back in the day, and I have a picture of myself from when I was very high carb like I am now, mostly raw, and I was riding bike a lot. Now, it has occurred to me that the reason that I lost so much weight in 2016 is because of how many hills I was able to climb. So the reason that I got this comment is because you're not seeing all of this change. Now, if I started this channel when I was 405, it was so quick. It came off. It was crazy. I actually had this woman. I was working at this furniture manufacturer named Knoll. If you've watched a Hollywood movie, you've seen a Knoll furniture. It's in every single one. I worked at this place, right? And I worked with this woman who used to come up to me every day, and she's like, I swear you're losing like a pound a day. And I said, I think I am. I don't have a scale that can actually handle my girth, but I'm almost positive that I'm losing like a pound a day. I can feel it. I can feel the energy. And I was 100% raw. 100% raw. And it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. And then one day I had a lapse. I was out of work. I was out actually in Cleveland visiting my parents, and I had no money really. And my dad offered me, I have never told this story before. My dad offered me nuggets from Chick-fil-A. And I was a year and a half into raw. I was really hungry, and I'm like, sounds good. So that's the one lapse that I had when I was, since I've been vegan. I had those, but it took me off of raw, and I started thinking, you got to be able to have cooked food in this. And this is actually the journey that I have been on. And I started adding in cooked food. Not Chick-fil-A anymore, but I started adding in cooked food because it was a lot more affordable. Rice is a lot cheaper than fruit. It just is. Or potatoes. And potatoes actually was my mainstay. I used to make a lot of potato fries, not in the fryer. I used to make a lot of cut them up and then put them on a sheet tray and just bake them and then eat. And if you're still hungry, cut up more, put them on a sheet tray. I don't like the way potatoes taste when they have been reheated in the microwave. So I just make what I think I'm going to eat. And then if I need to make more, then I just make more. I don't really like to heat up potatoes or rice or anything really. And that is my journey. This video, like the last one, is not taking a path that I thought it was going to. But I wanted to get this information out there because, and I'm also actually going to pull in McDougall if I can find the video that I'm thinking of. And I'm also going to pull up Dr. Doug Lisle if I can find the video that I'm thinking of, because this video is really good. I've tried to find this video many times, so I don't know if it's still on the YouTube or not, because it's very hard to find, but he talks about raw food. It's very rare. He doesn't do it a lot, but a Hollywood actor asked him, they needed to fill a role for a movie, and they needed to lose weight as quickly as possible. And he told them to go raw vegan. That would shed the weight as fast as you humanly possibly could. And I can attest to that. So the people who are really struggling, the people who don't want to let, nature take its course, and the people who don't want to take the time that it takes to get your hormones rebalanced and everything and eating cooked food, go raw vegan. You will lose the weight so quickly. It's not even funny. Eat enough food though. Because if you starve yourself, you're going to screw your thyroid. But the problem that you're going to run into, and the problem that I ran into, is you think about starch all day because you can't find enough calories. Now, if you're somebody who lives in an area, like especially on the East Coast or West Coast, if you're in America, you're going to find a lot more fruit than you are in the middle of the country like I am. Now, I'm not far off from the East Coast. I'm 6 hours. So I can still find a lot of the stuff that I want to find. But once you start really getting in the dead middle of the country or just different countries, you're going to have a really hard time. So you're going to have to add sugar into this. But you are going to lose weight so quick. The problem is nobody else is doing it. So if you want to function in a normal capacity, as normal capacity as you can possibly function in this country, you are really going to have to learn how to get your body to really love starches. And that is the journey that I'm on now. 7:16, it's probably not going to be that much when you watch this, into this. I feel like I need to explain myself because people watch this stuff now. Quite a few people watch this stuff now, and they're like, "Oh, this asshole's not losing any weight." Blah blah blah. It doesn't work. But I can feel it in my neck. I can see it in my eyes. I can feel my skin. It's different. If you're going to want to add cooked food in, which most people are going to want to do, it is going to take you a longer time. The reason is, in my mind, is raw food doesn't use as many as much hormones. It doesn't even use insulin to digest. So that is right off the bat going to help you. And now this is where Durian Rider and Life Regenerator kind of meet. I'm kind of like that guy, right? I'm a woo-woo over here, but I'm a sugar fan over here. There are channels in your body. There are channels that you've got to clear out in your body, and it clears out so much better because there's a lot of mucus involved. There's a lot of dead tissue involved. There's a lot of rejuvenation needed. And cooked food is not as good at that, anywhere near as good at that as raw food is. The reason in my mind is raw food doesn't cause inflammation of any kind. If you are raw for probably 3 or 4 days, you're going to notice you have no inflammation anymore. There's no phlegm. There's none of that, right? None of it. Unless you're really bad, then it might take a while. There's none of that. And the food digests itself, basically. You eat it and it just comes out, and there you go. And I feel like this point right now is a good point. If I can find the Doug Lisle video, I'm going to put it right here. I don't know if somebody had to take it down. I have no idea, but I cannot find that video. But I have been trying to find this video for like a year, I feel like now. I just can't seem to. I usually am pretty good at finding these videos, but that one, anyway. So I got this.
Boat floating on a calm lake, and it's floating 1 foot under the water.
Plateau so many times, and this could happen many weeks or months down the road. But when people hit a plateau, they generally get discouraged and they bail on that. So do you have any thoughts or advice on what happens when these people get discouraged or hit a plateau?
Right. The issue is that this is a very interesting principle that once you grasp it, it sort of puts you in control of understanding what's happening. People need to understand the concept of an equilibrium. So let me give you an example. If you have a boat floating on a calm lake, and it's floating 1 foot under the water, the hull, a little tiny sabot kind of a boat, and then you step in that sabot and you lie down, then your extra weight pushes the boat down further in the water, and now we're 18 inches below the water line. And then you get out of the boat, and then it goes back to a foot under the water. And then you had some big old jugs of water in the boat, and you take those out, and now it goes above, rises further in the water, and now it's only 8 inches deep in the water. In other words, it's going back and forth where it stands relative to the water line, dependent upon the gravitational forces that are involved in the boat. Now, that's exactly what your weight is doing. Your weight is simply moving around. It's moving towards an equilibrium, and then it'll hit an equilibrium. When you step in the boat, it's actually in disequilibrium for a few minutes as the boat now is bumping up and down in the water, as the dynamics of that situation are not stable. As soon as you settle down, now you're down 18 inches in the water and it's stable. Your weight is essentially a math problem that involves a very few variables. One of them is your genetics. The second is how much exercise.
I think that's the biggest one, is genetics. Some of us can just eat whatever the hell we want to. Well, not us. I'm not including myself in that, but others can.
Exercise that you're doing. And the third is the content of your diet. And all of them are actually important, but the most important are your genetics and the content of your diet. Exercise is a third variable in this that is
100% agree. It's weird. I usually film this stuff in reverse order, but I do talk about exercise in the video.
Not as significant, but it does exist. Now, so we could have a person who, let's suppose that they're eating a conventional American diet and they're 40 years old and they're 50 pounds overweight. And what they hear is, they've gone on diets before where they try to restrict their calories for a while and push themselves away from the table, and they walk around the block and they lose 6 pounds. And then they give up, and as soon as they stop doing this, they go back to their 40 pounds overweight. And they say, well, that's my set point, okay? And that's what people believe, that's my set point. That is not a set point. There is actually no such thing as a set point.
That's weird, because McDougall says there is.
What there is that there's an equilibrium point if your exercise and your diet and your genes are stable. And since your genes are always basically stable, the two variables that are in the equation are what is it that you're eating and what your exercise process is. So let me give you an example. A man came to me up at a lecture, he and his wife. They were in their 70s. And he came up and he told me a story. And he was about 5'8", about 160 pounds. And he said, I used to be 380 pounds, which to me was unbelievable that was true. And his wife is sitting there nodding her head and smiling. And
most people don't believe that I was 405. Not that I'm small now, but most people don't believe it.
He did was he went on the McDougall program. And so at 380 pounds, he went on the McDougall program. And over the next
MWL
year, he lost about 100 pounds. So he lost about 2 pounds a week, which means we knew that he was really doing it. And then he hit, quote, a plateau. He hit a plateau in the upper twos. And there he sat for several months. And he still knows that he's 100 pounds overweight, obviously. And so he called John McDougall and he said, I'm 100 pounds overweight and I'm doing your program perfectly. What's the deal? And McDougall says, are you doing any exercise? And he says, no. And McDougall said, walk around the block once a day. Okay? So the man genetically could not get away with no exercise. He needed to actually walk around his block once a day, which he then did. And in the next year, he lost 120 pounds. So now he did hit a set point, quote, he hit biological optimum at about 160 pounds. And that's where you will sit. And in this case, at an appropriate level exercise for him and an appropriate diet for humans, and the problem is solved. Now, had he only walked around the block halfway, he might have wound up at 225 pounds. There are an infinite number of combinations that he could have hit 243 pounds. He could put a.
All right, I think that's good enough for this. Actually, you know what? I try to do this as much as I can. Sorry, I'm shouting. I can see the little equalizer down there going crazy. I'm gonna link these videos down below because he actually goes into the talk a lot more in this. I'm 509 in. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I cut my hand yesterday. It's depressing. Anyway, and we're back. So that being said, when you eat cooked food, it does take a lot more of your body's time. And so when you don't have that amount of time going into your digestion, your body has time to start healing other areas. Like let's say 60% of your energy is spent on digesting cooked food. Well, probably 10% of your energy is spent on digesting raw food. That's like 90% of your energy for other things, and it can start healing. Now, you're going to heal on a starch-based diet. It's just going to take longer. And that is what you're seeing in me. And that is what you're going to see in yourself. I lost 145 pounds. If that's not enough for you, I don't know what to say. It happened quickly. You're going to hit a point where you're going to hit kind of a plateau. And if I can find it again, I'm going to put the McDougall video here. All right. Now, I know I've heard McDougall talk about Dr. John McDougall. I got corrected by somebody in an email the other day. McDougall talk about what he's going to talk about here. So I found this one. He's actually talked about this lately in quite a few videos. I don't need to replay it over and over again. I mean, so here we go.
Yeah.
And they'll get down to the last 20 or 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And they'll say, I just can't lose it. And I give them some flimsy excuses like if you exercise more or you follow the maximum weight loss program more. Also, they're carrying around a lot of muscle and a lot of skin.
They are.
You know, what do you effectively tell people? Because they want to get down that last 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And somehow my offerings fall short for them. And I would like some guidance.
Well, the first thing I would say is you can try the measuring technique, okay, and say make sure that they're actually getting as many calories
I don't buy that
in as you want.
Right.
Not at all, because I've done that. I did the maximum weight loss. Not going to complain about it anymore. Yeah, it might work for somebody. I don't know. But I gained weight like you wouldn't believe on MWL.
Second thing is that exercise is critically important for health. And I think part of my patient X's success has been his faithful dedication to daily exercise in substantial amounts every day. But it's a paradox, but exercise to lose weight does not work. Exercise to improve health, very helpful.
100%.
Exercise to lose weight has a short-term effect, but as you become adapted to your exercise, your body becomes more efficient. You need fewer calories.
I am somebody who doesn't plan, and I don't believe in planning. Watching this video come together has been nothing short of a miracle. The words that are being said, the stuff that, like, I just turn on a camera and I just let it fly. And the way this one is coming together, I cannot believe how the flow. I really can't. It's just astonishing to watch. I'm an observer of this whole thing.
To use that exercise efficient machine. So unless you increase the amount of exercise every day, I don't think it really is going to be much help. It's important for your health. I don't tell people not to exercise. They should. But as a weight loss mechanism, it has a transitory effect. So my guess is if they're at that low level, you have to look and see what the calorie balance in.
Don't buy it. I'm sorry. I've been there. Not discrediting this guy because he's helped a lot of people. But I think if you took their hormone levels, I think they'd be pretty tanked. Not hating. Really not. I'm going to play another one. Maybe. We'll see. Actually, let's play this. See what he says.
Listen to our discussion. And I said the same thing. I said, people are listening to you and you get the same results that I get. Your blood sugar goes down, blood pressure goes down, people lose weight. I said, but you do it in a different way than I do it. You do it by making people sick. It's like I could give you cancer chemotherapy. These drugs, And they'd make you sick, and your cholesterol would come down, your blood pressure would come down, your blood sugar would come down. But what doctor would brag about
They all do.
giving somebody cancer
They all
chemotherapy
do.
to improve
This is
their
why I
health?
stopped going.
Would it cause them to lose weight? Of course not. You wouldn't do that. The other thing I asked Dr. Atkins,
I years ago, 2002. I was at the doctor, and no one could figure out why my hormones were just tanking. 22 years old, youngin', and he was actually had a smirk on his face about the thought of me possibly having a tumor on my pituitary gland. And I looked at him. I said, "Why is this funny?" He's like, "Well, this is a very rare case." And he's like, "I'm excited to treat it." I said, "I'm a fucking human." And he's like, "Yeah, well, I understand that, but we're doctors and we treat." I said, "What?" Yes, I might only be 22, but I said, "This sounds ridiculous." And I just found out last 2 Sundays ago that he's dead, 64. And I don't know how I feel about that, because he was a health freak, but he dies from cancer, ironically. I don't know. I mean, I didn't put a vex on him, but I think it's weird.
as I said, there are a couple of things that we don't agree on. I said, one is all your patients are constipated. And even in his own studies, 70% of the patients are constipated. And in his study, 60, 70% of people have bad breath.
Terrible.
It's very difficult to stay on a diet that makes you sick.
That's like, how do you date somebody that's eating this stuff? It's like, dating a smoker. If you smoke, fine, whatever. But date another smoker.
Is they make you ill because you're not getting carbohydrate, which is what the body needs. And because you don't get carbohydrate, you burn fat. And the byproduct of fat metabolism is ketosis. In fact, these diets are even called keto diets. Well, ketosis occurs when you're sick. When you're starving to death, you go into ketosis, which suppresses the appetite. That's how they work. You can't stay sick for a long time. Now you ask about sugar. Do you remember your high school biology? Do you remember the process called glycolysis? That's the burning of glucose. That's what cells do. They burn glucose preferentially. In fact, there are some cells in the body that only burn sugar, like your red blood cells and your kidney cells. They'll only
kind of important.
Burn sugar. If you don't have enough sugar in your system, say you go on one of these crazy Atkins type diets, strictly, the body will take and convert protein into sugar just to supply the needs of these cells. That's how much you need sugar. Anyway, where we should get our sugar from is from complex sugars, which are known as starches.
Or
I don't disagree that you should eat a starch-based diet, particularly since you consider 99.99% of people who ever walked this earth have lived on starch-based diets. If starch was so bad for you, like corn for the people who lived in Central America and Mexico.
Okay, this one's been good enough. I'm going to conclude with another video from Doug Lisle, but you're going to have to watch some more of my video. And we're back. So just so you know, getting into this, or if you're way into this and you're like, why the hell am I not losing weight? You can't out-exercise this. Now, that being said, it will help you quite a bit if you are exercising. It will. And I don't buy into the baseline thing anymore. If you get done exercising and your gut is bloated, that means you've got a lot of inflammation. There's a lot of die-off. You have killed a lot of the stuff in your body, and it is now in your digestive system. I don't care I'm not listening to anybody else anymore. I used to ask other people that I've interviewed and stuff in the background. I know what I'm talking about with this stuff. Because of the chiropractor, this wonderful chiropractor that I had in PA, it's called die-off. It's in your gut. It's in your system. When you oxygenate, or however you say it, I don't know if you can hear my cat, your blood, it starts killing off things that don't like oxygen, that thrive in wet environments, that thrive in, carbon dioxide rich environments, it starts dying off. And then if your lymphatic system is getting cleared out, it starts getting put into your digestive system. And that is going to bloat you like crazy. So if you have this kind of thing going on, you're going to have to live with it, or just tail back on the exercise. Like if you've never exercised before and you just go ride bike for 35 minutes at as hard as you can, of course, you're going to have this going on. You're going to be sore. You're going to know it. Start off easy. Treat yourself easier. We don't do this to ourselves. We don't pamper ourselves at all. We like to thrash ourselves, because you see this on the TV, right? You know, like no pain, no gain, or you see these people go to these these events where there's like mud and stuff, and they're like, you know, crawling their way, and like, oh yeah, you know, or like that black and blue, and you know, we think this is amazing, but it's not. It's stupid. There's no reason to do this. This is why I don't join these things, because it's stupid. You know, there's no reason for it. The body wants gentle. You know, the body just wants to. It's not like if you've got a toddler, you know, you're real rough with them most of the time. And, you know, you're an idiot. You didn't walk 5 hours today. You know, you don't do that. But as soon as you're older, you do. I don't know why, but you do. And so treat this. But the point of me talking about the exercising is that you have to raise your heart rate. You have to make it for your body to get to a point that says, whoa, we've got too much weight on us. We cannot handle it. It feels like it's going to die if you put much more. Now, I'm not saying to get to that crazy level, but if you get to a point where your heart rate is elevated, you're breathing a little heavier. I'm not talking about like you're about to pass out, which has almost happened to me on a bike. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about pushing yourself a little bit. Like if you've only ridden 7% grade hills, go find like an 8 or 9% grade hill. And just the more of this that you do, or if you've ridden and there's nothing but 9% grade hills in your area, and you've only ridden for 10 minutes, try 11. And in doing that, you are going to raise your body's awareness of, we are carrying too much weight on us. We need to start shedding this. And that is what happens. And that is what happened to me in 2016. After I've experimented with this all the time, after I've done all these things on myself, after I've made all of these videos, after I've done all, there's no study, probably, maybe there is. I'm not into it. I'm in an anecdotal. Does it work? And it does. Climbing those hills was the magic bullet. And so I'm from now going forward going to use that example that I had that set for myself. You saw the picture of how much more slender I got going forward. I'm not going to sit there with this baseline stuff. It's boring to me. I'm not built that way. If you're built that way, go for it. I am built for power output. I'm not built for endurance. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have both to some degree, but I am built for get it done. Some people are built for the long haul. You know, like Sandy used to say, like hitting me, in any capacity is like running into a freight train. I don't think she's done it, but she used to get worried because if you lay, it's like she would lay on my chest, and if my chest would go off, I mean, it would bounce. So some of us are just built bigger, more powerful than others.
Twice as long as a man.
Not long. Some men are longer than others.
Some are built as the greyhounds of the world. So you've got to choose activities that are based on that. Like I'm a sprinter. Like if in bike terms, I'm a sprinter. I can't really sprint with this ankle of mine anymore, running, but I can sprint on a bike and you're not going to catch me. 260-pound dude, you are not going to catch me. I guarantee it. My legs are huge. I can move. I mean, I remember, this is not a bragging session, but I remember when I was at one of the MS50s I was at, and we came around this corner, flat roads, right? Flatlands, Ohio. And I was doing 35 mile an hour on a bike without, not an e-bike. It's flying past people. And there's some people that cannot, they can't even fathom getting to 35 mile an hour on a bike. But I did. And that's just, that's the difference. You're either going to be the Greyhound, but you've got to add a reason for your body to change. If you don't add that reason for your body to change, this is not going to. Why would it? Your body does the least amount that it can do to function and to get by every day. So if you don't give it a reason to change, or yourself a reason to change, it's never going to happen. And that is how you get past that plateau, in my mind. Could be wrong. Doubt it. But I always do. And I'm going to try to find as many videos as I can. I normally find the videos first and then make the videos I'm going to add in and then make the video. I did it the opposite. Hopefully I can find you some good stuff. I think that's about it. Dr. Doug Lisle, by the way, does not agree with Starvation Nation at all. He's actually really good to watch. I'm probably going to start reviewing some of his videos a little bit more. Hopefully, maybe I'll get some of these people on this channel.
So many years at the McDougall program, so many years at True North, and so many other places that you've worked in. Have you ever encountered a person that really did follow what you just explained, a very good way of eating, but
dieters are liars.
There was an underlying condition, like maybe hypothyroidism, or maybe some kind of hormonal thing that they really needed to have checked, and in order to...
I would imagine it's a lot more people than you would think, but what do I know?
Continue losing weight, and not because they weren't losing any, and they really were following a clean diet.
Yeah, I only had one person that in 30 years that clearly was the genetic outlier. So this was a beautiful young lady, very smart, very beautiful, walked through my door, 5'4" and 360 pounds.
It's a lot of pushing.
And, and obviously the family tree betrayed this way outlying genes. And this young lady then started to eat a very disciplined McDougall maximum weight loss diet, and got down to about 240 pounds. So that's where it stopped. That's where she reached equilibrium. Then an unusual person decided that she would then at that point measure out her starches very, very fastidiously. So she was aiming to...
I just don't think that's a good idea. Having been there. To
undereat by a couple hundred calories a day, knowing full well that she's still walking around with an extra 80 pounds on her. And so she fastidiously then did this and got all the way down to 160 pounds, which was, you're talking about incredible, diligent self-discipline over a couple of years. And then finally, actually, even at 5'4", 160, she could tell that she was still substantially overweight, because you could finally start to see the underlying genetic structure, and you start realizing, well, actually, ideal would be 125. Okay, and at that point, as one can imagine, on such an odyssey like this, she was like, "The hell with this." and how could anyone on earth argue with this reaction? So so she tossed the whole thing, and I think went back to essentially a healthy-ish McDougall thing, and wound up at 250 pounds and said,
such as life. Okay, fair enough. So I have witnessed, I don't need to take anybody's word for it. In other words, anybody that tells me, oh no, I do everything perfectly. I've had a lot of people like that then later on told me that they didn't do it perfectly. And that when
Reese's peanut butter cups, bro.
they really pinned their ears back, they started losing a bunch of weight. So I had one of those that came good maybe after 15 years. So I think I was probably working with a young woman in the early 2000s and swore up and down, and I was deeply suspicious. I'm always deeply suspicious because
Don't trust anybody, I guess.
have exactly one exception. I work at a place that has between the McDougall and True North probably went through 1,500 patients a year. So for 20 years, that's 30,000 people. I've seen an awful lot of stories, and I've seen an awful lot of change. And so I'm not saying that these outlying conditions might be as common as 1 in 1,000, but they're not as common as 1 in 100. So almost anybody that I'm talking to that thinks that they're one of those people, you are not. So I did see the 1 in 30,000. I saw it with my own eyes, and I watched and worked with this young lady for years. And so I actually witnessed extraordinary changes that took place very, very subtly as a result of daily incredible diligence. Okay? So I saw that there was a genetic limit to that nervous system. And quite frankly, that's a nervous system that was clearly designed with enough genes to survive a tremendous famine, which is undoubtedly where those genes came from.
It's crazy. Anyways, I'm going to return back to the other video. This has been interesting. I doubt many people who are watching are actually genetically. It's genetically impossible for you to lose weight, but you might have to change things up. Anyways, I think that's it. Any comments, questions down below? And again, don't sit on the sideline. Don't watch me. I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm probably fine at 250, 240. I'm bigger than most people, right? Don't sit on the sidelines and say, well, I hope it works for him. I lost 145 pounds. Don't sit on the sideline. Nobody remembers the backup quarterback. Be the quarterback of your life. If you like football, whatever it is, nobody cares about the water boy. Nobody cares. Nobody remembers the water boy. They remember the starters of the football team. Nobody else. Be the starter of your life. If you're going to comment to me on my channel about how you've been watching this for a year now, imagine where you could have been in a year. Imagine where you could have been in a year. Stop watching me. Go do it for yourself. If it doesn't work, I don't know anybody that it doesn't work for. You could have been so much farther along than watching me, make these videos. I'm a big dude. Even at 8% body fat, I'm probably around 235, 240. Of course, you're not going to see a lot of huge changes. I've already gotten to that arena. That last 25 pounds, boy, can take a long time. Just go enjoy your life. Just go try it out for yourself. Don't make it that I don't like to take any kind of praise for anything, because that means I also have to take the blame. I give the information out. The information that I've found. You have to assimilate it and go do it for yourself. Nobody can do that for you. Anyways, I read these comments, and I actually feel bad for the people, because I'm like, damn, this is a year that you've been watching me do this. Imagine how far you could have been in a year. Imagine that. Anyways, it gets me a little riled up, but I just start thinking this stuff we've all done it. We've all sat on the sideline oh, well, I have been with the group, the coaching group. I got so many things going on, but it's what I want to do. And so I got to make it, especially by January, because everybody got to lose the weight in January, right? Anyways, that's my video. Hopefully I found you some good videos to watch. I don't know. We'll see. I've been trying to find this one video for like a year. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, comments, likes, whatever, subscribe. If this video would do you any good, anybody else any good that you know, share the video.